Hey, so this is Sturdy McKee. I'm here with Marc Stewart of Johns Creek Physical Therapy. Um, we're going to go through a little bit of a case study of what's happened with him and his business over the last couple of years. And just before we start, I got some feedback. If I'm looking down, I'm taking notes. I'm not ignoring Marc or you. I'm just writing a couple of things down so I can follow up and ask follow-up questions. But Marc, tell us a little bit about when you started your business and how long you've been doing this.
Okay. So we opened up in 2003, which means we've been open for 16 years now. We opened up in October, and I've predominantly always been a single location business. We are located in the northeast side of Atlanta, in a suburb called Johns Creek, and our business is called Johns Creek Physical Therapy.
Cool, cool. So, like many business owners, I wanted to go back to what you were thinking, what you were going through, maybe what, a year and a half, 2 years ago or so, before we started working together.
So, recently I've been exposed to the fact that there's all sorts of coaching, training, classes. For years I've gone to continuing education to try to learn how to treat knees better, how to treat the back in a different way. But I had really no clue that there were opportunities like this out there for us as business owners. And so through another course that I was doing, I ended up meeting you in San Diego at function. And then I actually heard you on a podcast with someone else. I don't know, probably a few months later. So the opportunity came around for us to, you were offering intro to course, and I said, heck yeah, I'm going to sign up for that.
What kind of, where were you business wise in your mind space or headspace before this? Were you just trying to learn from anybody and everybody? Were you
Yeah, I would say that. I refer to it as being in a state of sponge mode, and that I was soaking, from all different sources. But I didn't really have anything in my mind. I didn't have an objective that, hey, I'm going to sign up for this course because I want to accomplish A, B, and C. I signed up for the course because I thought, well, I'm sure this is going to be helpful.
But just kind of in some way, but not with a specific.
Yeah, I didn't have a specific
goal in mind. Okay, so after that kind of sponge mode and not a super clear direction or what have you, what did you do to change course?
Well, one of the biggest things that, you and I have talked about this before, but one of the biggest things that I heard you say before we started working together was you talked about, you were the guest speaker on the podcast, and you talked about the fact that in your business at San Francisco Sport and Spine, you started looking at the cost of doing business, the cost per visit. And so for me, that was, I'd always track metrics, visits per referral, visits per week, referrals per week, all those sorts of common metrics, but those are on the income side, and had never really thought about looking at what's the expense side. I really just kind of looked at the end of the month, was there a profit? And, for the most part, there was. But when I heard you say cost per visit, I mean, it's like a fire got lit under me in terms of, oh my gosh, I got to know what that is. I got to figure out how to measure that. And as I did, and I realized that, our cost per visit was, say, you can see this on the screen, make sure, right here, we had some insurance plans that were reimbursing us down here. And, so obviously the thought-provoking thing is, why are you taking those? And, thought about it and stewed on it and festered on it. And we talked about it here in the office. I got all of the staff involved. And I think the thing, I had a couple of them come up to me and say, the question that you asked that was really like the defining moment was, I had two ladies working with me at the time. Both of them had two children. And I said, would you come to work for me? Or I said, if your daycare was $15 an hour per child,
right,
would you come work with me for $20 an hour? And they were like, no way, and I said, okay, well, that's essentially what we're doing when our cost of doing business is here. The insurance wants us to take this. And so my model in my clinic is not set up on a volume. It's really set up to deliver high quality care. And you can't do that with what the insurance companies were paying. And so after a long time of chewing on it, we decided that we would no longer accept those plans.
Mm-hmm.
So we essentially told them to stick it.
Right. Well, and I mean, you have a couple of choices there, right? One of them is to reduce your costs in some way, shape, or form, so that people do that through not necessarily providing the same level of service or care, reducing the expense side to be able to meet those. And then you decided on another path where you
Well,
weren't willing to compromise your practice model or what you were doing. Right. So therefore the price in essence had to change.
Yeah.
Is that
And
fair?
Absolutely. And to your point, yes, I spent probably 6 months trying to see if I could get my costs down to come underneath, so that there would be a margin. But as I've made that change and I've talked with different owners, that I've networked with,
Sure.
I've asked them, look, if you were a plumber and you had to go out and do a job, and you were going to have $300 in materials, would you do the job for $250? And of course, nobody says, yes, that's me, sign me up for that job. And so it really comes down to the same thing. You can, in my mind, you can make an argument about, well, you're filling that empty spot, or at least it's not vacant, but you still have a cost of doing business per visit. And it's been the best thing that we've ever done. So I'm just I was glad that I was on that particular call that day and happened to hear you talk about that, and it just really resonated with me. And it's just made a big difference for how we practice and how our business has grown and developed.
Well, and to your credit, along those lines, you decided to do something about it. You investigated, you learned more about it, you explored, you tried different avenues, you weighed the consequences of each, you figured it out, and then you took action. And that makes for a great client coach relationship, but also makes for good business. People who are willing to take action and do something about it, like you did, take the bull by the horn, so to speak. You did a great job with that. And again, you deserve a ton of credit. We've talked about that before too, of putting yourself out there, facing the challenges head on, and then really acting upon it. So congratulations on that, but you deserve all the credit for what you did, not
Thanks.
Sitting back and not taking action.
And just to follow up on that, I knew it would cost me some visits, or at least I anticipated that it would.
Well, this is my next question, like what's happening now, right?
Yeah, so I didn't know. I'm sure I was probably going to get the cart in front of the horse there, but
no, good.
So yeah, we actually had several hundred visits less over from 2018 to 2019. Referrals were a few less. However, revenue was just a little bit higher. Total overall revenue was more on, I think it was probably 750 fewer visits.
Okay.
And so that was pretty amazing. And the end of year profit margin went from about 7% to 14%. So we actually doubled our profit by, not accepting patients at a loss.
Cool.
Even though it cost us volume.
Right, but now you're not losing money on the volume and trying to scramble with that, and you don't have the associated costs.
Right.
For seeing those people. Right, cool. So what do you recommend, someone who is in that sponge mode, who's looking around, trying to learn from everybody, what do you recommend that they do?
Well, call Sturdy McKee.
Well, maybe in broader terms.
There's just all sorts of opportunities out there in terms of there is coaching, there is mentoring, there is training. Your small group that you have, your Focus Forward starter group on Facebook. That's actually a great place that people can go and ask questions. and kind of, start connecting with some of the other people across the country. I've seen a few times where people have said, hey, who's seeing this? And, someone from Texas chimes in, someone from New Jersey chimes in, someone from, the Northeast, the Northwest. We'll get people from Florida, making a comment. So that's really cool to be able to connect with other people that, you don't even know. So, and I've actually formed quite a few friendships with people all over the country.
No, you have?
A little bit.
So funny. But yeah, so connect with others, start to set some kind of direction. I heard you earlier talking a little bit more about kind of the structure around it. So
yeah, and I think probably the better answer is, and you alluded to this when you were asking me earlier, if you know where you want to go and set a goal, and that's one of the biggest things that I kind of picked up from as you and I have gone through the small group class that I'm a part of, is, it doesn't necessarily start with a goal, but somewhere in there you have to define what is your goal. Okay, where is it that you go? And then you start laying the groundwork and the framework for how you're going to get there. So I didn't go into the coaching class with, hey, I want to be able to double my profit. Now, you make that claim and you make that, I'm Sturdy McKee, I'm a business coach. I help people free up their time and make more money. And I mean, sure, anyone can say that, and some people might, oh yeah, whatever. But no, I mean, I'm a living testimonial that absolutely has happened. And yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's a great feeling. So that, the position that we're in. So we still have our share of struggles just like anyone else, but
that's business, right?
Yeah, but it's way. So if someone's looking for some help or whatever, I would say probably the thing to first think of is, what is it that you want to accomplish, and have a goal of, hey, we're not making any money. We're seeing 400, 500 visits a month, but we're not making any money. Well, why is that? And analyzing that cost per visit is a great place to start.
Yeah, it is. Good. Thank you. And along those lines, you mentioned the time thing too. You don't have to go to any great detail, but you were able to leave the country for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
how was the business when you got back?
Well, so I left, went out of the country for about 2 weeks in the month of December. And of course, in December, we have Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve.
Sure.
December was our busiest month last year.
Nice.
And I wasn't even here for probably 3 of the 4 weeks. So that was, that was pretty stinking awesome, and, but yeah, we had things in place and systems in place. And, that's also been something I've picked up in my work that I've done with you for the coaching.
Yeah, I still use, and I love your quote. If you want to share it, if you don't remember, I will. But the front desk, kind of talking with them about what the reason for a process.
I'm pretty sure what I said to you was, a process is a series of steps that you either take or that you follow that lead you to success.
Yeah. Right. It's not to make your life more onerous or more corporate or anything else. It's to make it smooth, easier.
Yeah. And, along those lines, I was actually just thinking of, you and I were talking one day about some of the challenges I had with the workshops. And I found for us, putting an article in the paper worked better than what I would call an ad. And I had one of the places I used to advertise, it's a magazine. They've actually gone out of business, but once a quarter, she would give me the inside back cover, and I'd write an article. Okay, it wasn't really an article, but it looked like an article. And
you were sharing information.
Yeah, sharing information, and that always produced more leads and more people registering for the workshop than just an ad. And so as I've gone, when she went out of business, I'm still in the newspaper. I was trying to write an article every quarter, for whatever I was doing, back pain or whatever. And I was trying to make it different. Spring is here, fall is here, summer is here. And I was writing something different because, you don't talk about snow skiing in the middle of the summer. And you were like, Mark, you're killing yourself. Stop doing that. Find something that can be repeatable. And it was, kind of like a V8 moment. Like, yeah, no kidding, but it just kind of took you hey, don't do that anymore. Try this. And so we actually have it now where we just change the date. Just change the date. That's it. The content's there. It's repeatable. It doesn't change. Just change the date. And it's just made life a lot easier. I mean, it's just a lot smoother now that, you've got that content there. You've got that template. Hey, we're going to do a balance workshop next week or in 2 weeks. Okay, what's the date? Boom. That's it. Done. It's not rewriting an article. It's not, trying to find the latest research. You got the info template. So in terms of process, yes, we've got that process down pretty good.
Yeah, so much of this is about working smarter, not harder. Sometimes it takes a lot of front end work on some occasions, but once it's in place,
Yeah.
right, you can repeat it. You've got that routine. Well, that's cool. Thank you so much for sharing a bit of your story and some of the challenges. People can connect with you on the Facebook group if they want to jump in there and join. We'll put a link below. And Marc's at Johns Creek PT down in Johns Creek near Atlanta, Georgia. Thanks, Marc. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, Sturdy. Thank you for all your help.
Of course.